Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education and inspiration, entertainment and hope. I'm Caroline HEWARD and I'm your host this evening for tonight's show, which is A Woman's Prerogative Part 2, in partnership with E360 TV. A warm welcome to our loyal viewers on E360 TV and on USA Global TV. And a very warm welcome to our friends over on ROKU Worldwide, Amazon Fire, as well as our usual social media channels, which are YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. Our show today, we are warmly welcoming our normal panelists. I'm not here alone, but before we bring the other panelists in, I would like to share with you our mission. Our mission is to create more subscribers, to reach over 100,000 subscribers. And today we are at 39,352. And so please do subscribe to both channels so that we can reach our mission for mid-September. Also, we have a VIP community. Please sign up for our VIP community, which has exclusive first access to our newest videos and photographs and insights on the British royal family, which is live streamed on USA Global TV and Radio and YouTube. So let's bring out our panelists. We are joined by a special guest today, and we have an exciting topic for you. Our topic today is Global Perspectives, Effective Communication Between Men and Women in Project Management. So I am warmly welcoming one of our normal expert panelists, all the way from New Zealand, Mariska who is coach extraordinaire. Hello, Mariska.
Hello, Caroline, and I am so happy to be with you today.
Wonderful. And we also have a very special guest that's joining us for the first time on USA Global TV and Radio. And her name is Karen Aitken, and she is the owner of a law firm in Texas. Please bring out Karen Aitken.
Hello.
Hello. A very warm welcome to you, Karen.
Thank you.
So
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's going to be interesting and it's going to be exciting because managing a law firm, it has all sorts of implications in terms of project management. So this will be very interesting to hear the perspective from where you work. So please, Mariska, before we continue, please share with our viewers, our loyal viewers, as well as the new people that are here for the first time, a little bit about what you do and also a little bit of how they can contact you.
So what I do is I work with leaders that want to bring a little bit more humanness into their space. Now, whether you are a specialist moving into leadership or a leader already in the space and moving up within your journey, we always have the opportunity to bring a little bit more of, well, ourselves and also our team's humanness into our space. So that's who I work with, and you can contact me via my email, which is mariska@journey2discover.com, or alternatively, link up via LinkedIn. And that, Caroline, is short and sweet and all about me. And over back to you. And you are muted, my dear.
And Karen, please introduce yourself. Tell a little bit about who you are and what you do, and how people can contact you.
My name is Karen Akins. I'm a managing attorney of Akins Law Firm in Houston, Texas area. And I specialize in asset protection, estate planning, business planning, probate, and tax. And I deal with clients that are across the board. They have businesses all over the world and in Texas or other states in the United States. And so I help them with their asset protection and their estate planning to reduce their taxes and protect their assets in their estate. Because the law, besides the law degree, I have a Master of Law in Tax, an MBA, and I'm double board certified in estate planning and probate and tax law. And you may contact me via my office phone, 281-962-5051. Or you may email me at Karen, Karen, at AkinsLaw.com. That's AKIENSLAW.com.
Thank you, Karen. Welcome to our show tonight. And for me, I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert, and I help you bust your stress. So whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's behavioral. So if you're complaining about a relationship that you're in, or a family member or somebody at work, if it's physical, if you have a physical ache and pain, if you're feeling emotionally sadness, loneliness, heartache, or if you're feeling stressed, anxious, or depressed, these are normal experiences when we don't handle our feelings and emotions. And I help you break through the patterns that create your stress by using chakra psychology and root cause therapy. You can reach me on No More Stress at live.co.uk, or call me on +44 if you're international, 07523 if you're local, 120189. And I look forward to helping you bust your stress. So now let's get into the topic, which is very meaty and juicy. So just reminding our audience, global perspectives, effective communication between men and women in project management. Now, when I looked at this topic, which I didn't have until late this afternoon, I must admit, so Dr. Jacalyn, behind the scenes before our show started, actually shared that we don't know what the topic is generally until maybe a few hours before. And it reminded me about the fact that my background is marketing, and everything is a project, because no matter what kind of business that you're in, you're not just dealing with one person, you're dealing with many stakeholders in the project. I'd love it to just be that we just speak to one person, but we speak to the advertiser. And for a law firm particularly, you're speaking to many different stakeholders. The communication has to stretch from somebody in law to the nan and granddad, or the mum and pup, and also the children, as well as all the other legal eagles. So this is involving many different stakeholders, and the communication that's required by the different stakeholders that you are communicating with is different. How do we manage it? My background was marketing before I did stress management. And essentially, I was dealing with media. I was dealing with the agency photographer. I was working with the client and the agency in terms of all the different things that we were doing, because different people had responsibilities within the agencies. And so we're all in that game of managing our communication with different people. And so it's something that is common for all of us. And at the same time, it can lead to challenges, especially if we're not on board with certain things and we haven't kept up with the project vision. What are your thoughts, Mariska, in terms of your experience in communicating effectively with the people in projects that you've come across in your time?
Caroline, I really appreciate the setup around everything as a project. Because yes, all the things that we do, we can break out into small little projects that we do. And when I think about communicating within a project space, the first thing I typically think about is who I identify as my stakeholders. Now, normally for most of us, that's the people that we typically work with the most. And that's the ones that pop up first. Of course, I have also been in a couple of projects where those ones where we didn't necessarily think of them come down the track, and they have a tendency to nip us in the butt from time to time, where I am sure Karen will be able to enlighten us how to identify some of those stakeholders and keep them in mind too, because, well, that's part of her job, to make sure that you are not nipped in the butt. But that is something that I have noticed within the stakeholder space, especially when dealing in projects. Identifying them and making sure that we have everybody on board at the right time is definitely something that is worthwhile keeping in mind if you want everything to, well, go according to mostly plan. With most projects, everything doesn't always go to plan, but as close as possible to plan. And that is where I am at the moment with that one.
Thank you, Mariska. Very, very neatly communicated. So what are your thoughts, Karen, on what Mariska has shared before you actually share your own experiences of project management? What are your thoughts about what you've heard from the comments that Mariska has made?
Mariska's correct. You need to do everything she stated, but I also say you need to look at who the client is. Who are you actually doing the work for? Who is going to be impacted by what you're doing? And who's going to be receive the most benefit? Who's going to receive the most detriment? So you got to look at all the parties that are involved. And Mariska is right on target in saying that, you know, you need to pay attention to what you're doing and just respond to what the client wants and look at all the stakeholders who you're dealing with, because you have different needs and wants with all the different parties that are involved in what you're trying to achieve.
Thank you. How would you do that? What's your process, Karen, in making sure that all the stakeholders are looked after? Because there are many different ways. And I'm very interested to hear about how a law firm would handle that, because you're handling very different types of people, and to make everybody happy. You're smiling because you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're handling the legals, you know, and the ones that need everything in writing and all the boxes ticking. And you're also handling people that have no understanding, especially when it comes to tax. I know what I'm like when I come to my tax. I just put it all over to my accountant, and then he asked me to go through everything. And then I'm getting very stressed because it's written in speak that I don't really understand. And I certainly had that experience when I was buying my new home very recently. And that was really challenging because I didn't understand half the stuff I needed. I needed somebody to unpick it and give it to me in layman's terms. So how would you handle making sure that everybody is happy and everybody is on board to the overall vision, Karen?
Well, you got to look at where I started. You said you started in marketing before you got into what you were doing. Well, I started in the U.S. Navy. I was a jet mechanic and an air crewman, and I learned attention to detail is the paramount. It's of paramount importance in everything you do. Because if you don't have the attention to detail to look at what needs to be done, then you're not going to achieve the goal for the client. And that's in all aspects of life. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. And then you look at who is the client? I mean, who are you actually doing the work for? And what are their goals? What do they want to achieve? And who do they want to benefit, or who do they want to cut out? And you got to make sure that you can comply with everything that the client wants. And then you look at who is actually the work being done for. I mean, is it being done for the client, or is the client doing it on behalf of somebody else? So if the client's doing it on behalf of somebody else, Who are you actually doing the work for? And what are the goals on the project? So I look at, when I'm talking to a client, I ask them, what is their asset situation? What is their goals in regards to the taxes? And what are their goals in regards to their beneficiaries of their estate? Who do they want to leave their estate to? Is there anybody they want to disinherit? And so once I get all the pieces of the puzzle, then I put the puzzle together, and that can be applied towards doing the work on a stakeholder project. You get all the pieces of what needs to be done. You put it all together where it fits nice and tight and smooth, and then you submit it to the client, and then the client is mostly happy with what you've submitted because you've complied with all their goals. You've reached every single milestone they have set, and they are extremely happy with what the plan you have set forward to achieve what they want to do. So in that regard, you need to listen. You basically listen to the client and find out what they want to do, what moving parts you have to work with, and then you present the ultimate project to them, the ultimate resolution of their issue.
Behind the scenes, I'm nodding. I'm sure that Mariska is too. It's fascinating how different types of organizations, we've all got to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And when I was hearing everything that you were saying, I was actively, I was like a nodding dog. And when I was in marketing, what you described in terms of listening and making sure that you've got all the points so that they are happy. When I was in marketing and PR, and certainly where I am now in stress management at running my own company, the inquiry comes in and they have 3 or 4 different things that are not working. So I have to actively listen to each thing that they're saying and saying, yes, I can help you with that. And this is how I can help you. And this is how long it will take. And so they need to feel that they're listened to. And the way that they are listened to is you clarifying and confirming, whether it's in writing or in the phone call, that I find that clarifying and confirming, it's for the client so that they know that you have heard what they're saying. Because it might be that you haven't understood what they've said, or they might mean something else. So it is then clarifying and confirming. It actually makes sure that you have heard what they mean and what they've been saying. And I tend to clarify and confirm quite regularly with people, especially if I wasn't sure what they meant, or I might actually say, could you explain what you mean by that? What are your thoughts to what Karen has shared, Mariska, and the sharing that I've just made in terms of the clarification and confirming and making sure that you understand what they are asking for?
I think both of you bring this element of being able to communicate clearly. And communication starts with listening. Because if we don't hear what the person say and listen and try to understand, so to your point, Caroline, the clarifying, we will go off in the wrong direction, which means, well, the project might not go according to plan because the plan isn't the right one to start off with. So that, to me, definitely one of the biggest things. And it doesn't matter whether you are working on a project or something else, might be a relationship. The clarifying, listening, and being able to understand the other person, always a good idea. And interestingly enough, I've been working with a project manager, and we are going through some coaching. And one of the things within this space is also the understanding and creating understanding, being able to ask questions and accepting the fact that, well, we might not have the answer right now. And that is why we want to clarify and understand where the other person is coming from, what it is that they might need. And one of the other elements that we have also discovered in this specific project manager's space is that we might think that the person comes to us for a specific solution. And if we do not ask, we will not know. So it might be that they literally need us to listen or brainstorm something. And if we don't have clarity on what the purpose is for the conversation, or the purpose, as Karen mentioned earlier, for the project, then it becomes really, really difficult for us to be able to actually help out in whatever shape or form that might take. So listening, understanding, clarifying, questions are your friend. Use them wildly.
Yes, you are absolutely correct, Mariska. And you know what? I have found that between men and women, men, they can't multitask like women. Women can do more than one thing at the same time. Men, if they're checking their tie, they're concentrating on their tie. Men are great, okay? They have great minds, but men and women are different. And so when I'm dealing with male clients compared to women clients will go off on tangents, but it also fills in the background of what you're discussing with them. Men, they're more straightforward and they will give you an answer to the question asked. That's the difference I found between men and women. What has been your take on it?
That's really fascinating that you say that, because it brings me very neatly into because there are many stakeholders in how we're working. Are there any tools that we're using? Is there any methodologies that you're using in terms of keeping up to date reports, progress? Because I feel that from looking at the way that men and women communicate, women are not so much in that detail, and they will give different detail. The men will be very logical and they are very visual. So project plans and mind maps are certainly the way that they see things, because they skip the big detail, or they will go and look at the detail later. I always find that they take in more information by being visual. And for the women, they will look at the collaborative aspects of it and make sure that everything is attended to for each person. So there'll be more in the collaboration side. What are your thoughts in terms of how men and women are responding in that respect? And also, are there any tools that you're using to project manage what you do? And I'll take this over to Mariska to begin with, and then we'll ask Karen to put what she does in a law firm. So Mariska.
Caroline, that is a very fascinating space to be in, because we think so different. And I think for me, one of the things that I appreciate about our different ways of thinking is being able to almost combine them, because then we get the best of both worlds. With men, I have found that typically they go into a topic and they will stay within that space. Not all of them necessarily, and some of them go into different levels of that space depending on how they think about things. And as you mentioned, with the females of the species, we have a little bit more of a collaborative way of looking at things. Also, not always, it's not the rule, but for most, that is what typically happens. So being able to bring both of those perspectives into the conversation might help the person that we are talking to, understanding that their predominant way of thinking might be one way of thinking. Asking a question from the other point of view helps to broaden the thinking. So I have found that mixing it up a little bit for the person that I'm talking to might help them to also appreciate some of the other points of view that they have not considered within their project. And that brings new ways of possibly tackling or thinking about how to resolve the problems that we might come up with, or the plans that we want to make. And within that space, it is from time to time, so depending on which gender you are working with or what the person's predominant way of thinking might be. It might be a little bit more challenging for some to be able to stretch themselves into a space. And again, questions work a treat. So I would say the tool that I use most of the time would be questions. And they are very handy. You can bend them any way you need to use them. Karen, how about you?
I found the same way. With questions, the men are more focused in the answers. With women, they go with the emotional route first with the answer, and then they'll go to the logical route. But the emotional route is the backup to the logical route. Men, they go straight for the logical route. And I'm able to deal with both sides. I'm able to deal with all types of individuals. Doesn't matter what their background is. I am able to communicate with them because my background was so varied. I started out with blue collar, jet mechanic, air crewman, plane captain. So I am able to speak to all the trades at their level and with no problems, because they understand that I understand where they're coming from. And with upper levels, I'm able to speak to people with the doctors, the lawyers, the financial advisors, anybody who else owns multi-billion-dollar businesses, because I have the Master of Law and the Master of Law and Tax along with the law degree. And so I can apply the facts and the law to what their situation is without them losing their train of thought. And so I am able to speak to all types of individuals. And so I have been exposed to all types of individuals and all types of mentality. And no one is exactly the same. I'll tell you that. There's no two people that are exactly the same. No two estates that are exactly the same. No two businesses that are exactly the same. Everybody is different. And you have to be able to go with the flow. You have to be able to adjust what your thinking is according to what the client's situation is, because there's no cookie cutter answer for everybody. You have to be able to figure out what the client's problem is and then give a unique solution to that client's issues. That's what I found.
Thank you, Karen. Absolutely brilliant. I couldn't have said much more better myself. What I would like to look at is conflict, because in teams, we're not isolated, we're not doing everything ourselves. And when conflict comes up, because we're all humans and human behavior is naturally going to conflict. And when I was buying my property, I was very emotional because there were things that didn't get done by the other part of the seller. And I thought they had completed the things that I needed. And I got very emotional. And at the same time, my solicitor, because I'm in the UK, so my solicitor was saying, we can only look at the facts. We can't look at your emotions. And he actually wouldn't take my calls, and he dealt with everything by email. And so I would have to bullet point everything by email, underlining and boldening the question to make sure that he responded. And that was his way to respond. And he used to get very stressed with me when I dropped him a call. And I could feel it. So I said, is now a good time? He said, well, not really. I can give you 2 minutes of my time right now. I'm just off to a meeting. So Mariska, just going over to you to begin with, how would you handle conflict within the team, especially if there's more than you that's in the project? And how would you handle that stakeholder conflict within the overall project outcome?
Caroline, it's interesting that this element around emotion keeps coming up. And I want to acknowledge that even when we think we are logical, there's still emotion playing into it, whether we present all the facts or not, because we are emotional beings. It is part of our makeup. So there's typically what I have found, when we struggle to get to a solution, even for ourselves, or to think clearly, there's some or other emotional thing that's preventing us from continuing with the thinking. And we need to work through that. And when you mention conflict, that is possibly something that's coming up. So something might be really, really important for one party and not necessarily as important for another one, or both of them find that it's really important, but they're looking from different points at the same thing, or different elements might be important about it. So being able to, again, create that understanding, really go and ask the questions and helping people to understand each other first, so that we can see what exactly it is that we are trying to solve for. What is it that is so important that we really need to have sorted out? And then see what the possible solution might be for it. And we might come up with something quite different than we thought might have been the solution. That's even better. And we need to be open to it. So being able to have those conversations in a way where we can name the possible emotion, the frustration that's coming up for us, and it might be even more than a frustration, might be a little bit more elevated type of emotion, and being able to discuss it and not put our head in the sand like Caroline, your solicitor, did, to sort of go, no, I'm only dealing on emails, and then also having the horrible opportunity of misreading what the person wrote, because unfortunately in emails we have the words, we do not necessarily have the intent behind them, or the nuances the same way we would when we have a conversation, and being able to sort it out. So even though your solicitor was trying to be logical, it sounds like the stress emotion might have played into it just a tad. So that's where I would be on that one.
Well, he did start calling me in the end when we were getting very close to it. And because I gave him so much detail in emails and so many questions, if I didn't understand anything, I felt that I'd won him over. So that was, I found his way of working, and I felt that I found the way of championing him to do what I needed him to do, as well as he feel comfortable with what he was able to do within the restrictions of the process. What are your thoughts about what Mariska and I have shared in terms of how we overcome conflict within the situation of getting an end result? Karen?
Well, I have clients that they want a certain result to occur. And if I can make the result occur, I do it. If I can't, I'll just tell them, I says, I can't do that. The law won't let you do this. And so it's not possible. And so they're not happy to hear that, but I explain to them that I can't do it. You have to find another attorney if you want to try a way around, because there's no way around legally what you want to do. So, I mean, I'm not happy when I have to tell a client that, but the way I word it is I look at a client's assets and I tell the client, if I had these assets, this is the route I would take if I were you. And that's the recommendations I give them, and I tell them why. And most of the time they take my recommendations because they see the logic behind it. And they understand it's got the law behind that recommendation. I've seen conflicts occur too in all types of legal actions I've done. And it just depends on who's involved. If it's a husband and wife, the husband probably doesn't want to do what the wife wants to do, or vice versa. And then I tell them, well, you guys are going to have to come to an agreement because your state has to work together. Or if there's a probate and somebody's died and there's two people that are going to be appointed, then I tell them you have to agree on what you're going to do in this estate, because one can't go off on one tangent and the other one goes off on the other. You have to work together. And so if you have conflict between two parties in a problem, then you're going to have to back off if they cannot resolve that conflict between them, because you cannot represent one over the other if you have them both as your client. With a client that is giving you a conflict, the way I resolve it is just I give them the law. And I tell them, this is what the law allows. This is what you can do. What you want to do, you can't do. And so my clients realize that I tell them the truth. I mean, I just lay it on the line, and it's black and white. I mean, it's no ifs, ands, or buts. If there's a way around it, I'll let them know. But if there's not, I'm sorry. You just have to deal with what the law will allow you to do. That's basically what it comes down to.
I am loving it, because that's exactly how my solicitor, that's how my accountant handles everything. This is it. It's black and white. It's beautiful. In marketing and PR and working in stress management, it's not so black and white. Well, we have literally run out of time. So very quickly, if we can go round in a very short 60-second, please, Mariska, tell people how they can reach you. And then we'll move over to Karen. So how can people contact you, Mariska?
So you can contact me via email, is typically the easiest way to go. And my email is mariska@journey2discover.com. Or alternatively, you can also link up via LinkedIn and direct message me. I am on there at least once a day, so you should get something back within 24 hours space. And this is, of course, for any of you that are looking into stepping into leadership, if you're not in it already, or stepping up your leadership and bringing a little bit more humanness into your space.
Thank you, Mariska. And Karen, how can people reach you?
I think your phone number, USA 281-962-5051, or email me at Karen, Karen, @AkinsLaw.com. That's AKIENSLAW.com. And you can get information on my firm's website. It's www.AkinsLaw.com. It's AKIENSLAW.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And for me, you can reach me on No More Stress at live.co.uk, or call me if you're international +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. We really have literally run out of time. A huge thank you for our special guest, Karen Aitken. She just came in, and what a delivery that you have made in terms of giving identification of how a law firm would approach project management. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Karen, for your contribution, and also Mariska. Thank you very much for our viewers listening in on the live and on the replay. And I look forward to seeing you the same time next week. We have 2 shows. Part 1 is at 7 p.m. British Summer Time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and part 2, which is at 9 p.m. British Summer Time, which is 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And now over to our sponsors. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye for now.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the secrets of visual impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you. 5 little-known secrets for dementia caregivers with Tracy Cram-Perkins.
Hi there, I am Tracy Cram-Perkins, the host of the Dementia Home Care Show here on USA Global TV and Radio. I am also the author of the book of the same name. And you'll see this QR code. This is for an extended version of this same talk. So if you want to see the full hour-long version, feel free to scan the code and go to that website. Stick with me. We'll talk about 5 little-known secrets to make it a little easier to do dementia caregiving. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is a healthy aged brain, age 55 and above. The one you're seeing on the right is an Alzheimer's disease brain. It is in moderate disease. It is shrinking. It has holes in it. The memories that were in those holes no longer exist. When you're learning something, let's say in kindergarten, you learn how to tie your shoelace. Well, then by the time you're in 2nd grade, your brain remembers that information from tying the shoelace and applies it so you can learn more quickly how to tie more complex knots. So the brain is hardwired to do this for us, so it helps us learn faster so it doesn't take as long to acquire knowledge. The brain is looking for the information and they pick the closest to wherever that hole is. Let's look at some tips that we can use to help do that.
These are 5 simple tools you can use as a dementia caregiver to help your loved one. The whiteboard is a useful tool in recording the day's activities and the answers to repetitive questions. The calendar clock is a very useful tool to orient your loved one on the day, the date, and the time, and remind them of upcoming appointments. The communication cards are a great tool to bridge the gap when they can no longer tell you what's wrong. And then there's the pill minder for when your loved one is still able to take pills but needs prompting. The final tool I want to share with you is the memory book. It tells your loved one's story. It's a great tool for distraction, redirection, also as a conversation starter, and telling you where they are in their story so you know how to answer their questions.
Music is probably the most powerful tool in your toolbox after laughter. Music is a way to maintain connection. It sticks with your brain longer than any other thing, including reading. When you're having an issue with somebody, you can play their favorite music if you move them to another room, something that makes them happy, or you can start singing songs together from their childhood. These are some of my favorite books for caregivers. My show airs on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and you can view past episodes on YouTube. Thank you, everyone.
This program has been brought to you in part by Tracy Cram-Perkins. Connect with her and order her book at tracycramperkins.com. For more information about Alzheimer's disease, support resources, and how you can help, contact the Alzheimer's Association at 1-800-272-3900 or visit their website at www.alz.org. They offer 24/7 helpline support and a wealth of information to assist you and your loved ones. This program has been brought to you in part by Zane Carson Carruth, etiquette and protocol expert, international award-winning author, television show host, and philanthropist. Thank you to Zane, our official diamond sponsor for USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. Zane is the author of The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever, as well as many other children's books. She's also the television host of Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living, seen on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the Tooth Fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
To learn more about Zane, contact her through her website, zanecaruth.com. ZANECARRUTH.com. Order Zane's books and merchandise. Contact her about being a keynote speaker at your next event.